Hello everyone and welcome back to Southeast Guitar Repair Academy. Today I'm going to show you a little trick about brace repair. Now we've gone through and we've done a video on using the scissor jacks to repair some braces. This is almost the exact same technique, but this is actually the old school technique, and this is what we actually used to use back in the day. This is probably something that y'all are going to end up using more than the scissor jack because they're not very cheap, they're not very affordable, they're a great tool, they're awesome to have. But just starting out, you'll probably end up using this technique a little bit more here and there until you can actually afford to get some scissor jacks into your tool set. So as you see, we just have a whole bunch of dowel just kind of hanging out. I always have this container in my bench, all different lengths, different heights, different size dowels. So what you'll see is that some of them kind of have some tape on them, some have kind of some funny shapes on them. There's a reason for all of that. So if you actually look, and now I gotta find the one that I had, but if you actually look on the bottom, we have these notched. You can literally just take a little piece of dowel, go back to the bandsaw, just cut yourself a little notch right in the bottom just like that. That's actually gonna go across the brace right there. So it's gonna push against the brace, and then as far as your height goes, you can kind of adjust it a little bit. You can take it, you can sand a little bit off, take it to the belt sander, take everything in there, keep shaping it, keep shaping it. You don't want it to push or flex too much on the top. You just want enough pressure so that it's pushing the brace down into the instrument. Let me see, give me 1 second here. I had to find the other ones that I had. Here we go. So if you look, say, let's just use, this is an example right here. Actually, use this one as an example. So you have this hard, kind of sharp wood on the end. You can even round that over if you want, but still it's going to be putting direct pressure on the top of the instrument, so you want to be pretty careful when you're doing something like that. What I found that I enjoy doing is you can get pretty close to whatever size you need. You get in there, you dry fit it, kind of find out that you might have a little bit of play in there. We're not going to use this one. This one's a little bit too short, but you can actually go through, and there's a great helpful tip right here. If you notch your bottom, you're not going to mar up the brace down on the bottom. And then this is going to push against the brace, and then this is just going to push against the top. But the last thing you want is to go through and start scraping up the inside of the top, or to have a very aggressive edge to your dowel that's actually going to push into the top and cause the top to crack on you. So you can actually go through and take a little bit of tape, fold it over a couple times. It doesn't have to be pretty. And then you can actually you can do this a couple times, and then you can add a few layers to it if you want, and just tape this straight across the top of your dowel, just like that. And now you'll actually have a little bit of cushion there, which gives you just a little bit of spring to it, nothing too crazy, nothing too aggressive, but it's enough to not really put too much pressure on whatever side of the instrument is going to be the opposite of the brace that you're gluing. It's pretty tricky to try to find one where you can glue up a brace between this brace and a top brace, so typically you're going to be pushing up against the top or the back. So yeah, so you give yourself a little bit of cushion room. It's got just a little bit of play to it. It's going to be a little bit softer on the top, but it's still going to have that aggressive contact point that we want whenever we're actually going through and gluing our brace up. So dry run it, dry fit it, just slide it in there, make sure everything's solid up and down. It sits right in there, nothing too crazy, very simple. You see all this mess that's from the factory. That's not anything we did. This thing is from the 1800s, so. And you can see that's nice and solid in there. So we'll just go ahead and we're actually gonna work a little bit of glue down in there. I'm gonna put our dowel back in on that brace, and y'all can see how it holds it nice and tight in place. So you can actually look on the top here. It's just got teeniest little bit of flex on it. Not a lot, not enough to push up the top or cause any more cracking or anything crazy like that. So exact same as we did with the scissor jack. You're gonna get your feeler gauge, get your glue. As always, keep wet paper towels on hand. And we'll just go through. Actually, you can go two routes. You can go this route. So you just put a little bit of glue on here, and then you can feed it in up underneath the brace. Let's see if I have my light here. I don't know if y'all will be able to see. Then you actually feed it through just like that. Or you can go this route, knowing that I have almost this entire side of that brace that needs to be glued up. I'll show you what I will do sometimes. I'll actually come through with my light. Keep an eye on where I'm going with my bottle of glue, and I'll actually just drip it right down, and then just kind of let that run down across the seam there. As you can see, it's now running down. Just use gravity as your tool. And once you get that going across the seam, a good spot, now you can come through with your feeler gauge and just start working everything up underneath it. So you're probably not going to be able to see me do this, but you literally just, exactly how you saw that feeler gauge a second ago, you're just doing that exact same thing. You're just pushing it back and forth and working that glue up underneath that brace. Be able to see where I'm at. And yes, you will make a mess, but you're going to clean it up. And you can see we're actually getting through on both sides. I don't know if you can see down in there, but we're actually getting glue down on both sides. That's exactly what you want. Go all the way to the end, cover the whole area that your brace is loose, and come back through and start wiping everything clean. As I said, be sure you keep your wet paper towels on hand. Very, very handy to have. Be sure you have plenty of them. And be sure you clean up all your glue mess when you come down through here. You can see you got a good bit of it down across the back. Now it's going to be a little wet, a little darker where the paper towel is wet, wiping up the glue. You just want to be sure you just keep going on that. Go back and forth and back and forth. You're not going to get up underneath the brace. You're not trying to focus on any of that. You're just trying to get all the mess out from around it. And I had said that glue mess might have been from the factory. It probably wasn't from the factory. It was actually probably from, looks like it was from a previous repair. In fact, I know that it was, because this thing has some really bad looking repairs going on around it, which we've had to undo most of them, all the ones that it would allow us to, but somebody really kind of worked quite a bit of glue on some of this. Just keep going with it. Make sure you get all that glue out from all that grain flow on the wood. It'll look nice and clean, minus all the other drip out that's there from another repair. And then come through, like I said, keep your dowel down on the brace right there. If you do your measurements correctly, you'll be able to put this brace in here, or this dowel in here right up against the brace. It's going to have just enough pressure on that to push down against that brace. And try to keep it as vertical as possible. There's just a little bit of tension on there. You can see we got a little bit more squeeze out right now. That's exactly what you want to see. Come through, clean the rest of that squeeze out, sorry. Make it down against that seam there. Like I said, this kind of repeating the process of the scissor jack. It's very similar to that. You just have to cut your dowel, pre-cut your dowels. You can see I have all these different sizes. It's because over time I'll end up having to add a little tape to some. Sometimes I got to cut a little tape off, or I got to cut a little length off the dowel. Sometimes I just wear a dowel down and got to cut some new stuff, but it always never hurts to have plenty of different lengths on hand. Looks nice and solid. This last little bit right here. And this thing is literally turning to dust. The more you work on it, the more stuff starts to move. It's been sitting around in storage for God knows how many years, but when you're about 120 years old, you're going to start to fall apart pretty easily. And there you go. Nothing too crazy. Like I said, it's very similar to the scissor jack style. It's just for years they didn't have the scissor jacks out, and this is literally the go-to way to repair a brace whenever you have a separated brace and an acoustic. Nowadays the scissor jack makes it a lot easier. Feel free to stock up on those. You can get a couple of them. We usually run 2 or 3 in here at a time. If I had a half dozen of them, probably be ready to rock and roll on anything, but we got a lot of benches going at the same time. So yep, nothing too crazy. That is the dowel repair on a brace. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, feel free to give us a holler, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you very much.